Good evening, ladies and gents, my name is Hyozo and I'm DiscussThing, and Dragon Age Veilguard is already underperforming. It's exactly what a lot of people said, that it's not going to do well, it's not going to reach the numbers that BioWare wants them to reach, and it's not going to do even close to as spectacular as some people painted it out to be. And that is already evident from a lot of information and a lot of charts and a lot of numbers that we received and we can see live. I want to directly go to the Steam database charts, which is currently live. This was refreshed just a minute ago and I'm going to refresh it again just to see what's happening. Hop, it just actually went down a little bit. It was going up until a moment ago, but it's now going down. It currently has 68,000 players. The peak was yesterday at 70,000. And you can see it here, you can see how it dropped today, which can be explained because a lot of people were sleeping, or it was just because it was that time of the day. However, that also means that the player count and the active players are very largely localized in a certain area, because it always peaks at around this time currently. And if you see here, which is around noon for me, it's pretty damn low. The next thing that I want you to look at is the most played chart, and I'm gonna refresh it again because we need current data for the last minute. And we see first, second, third, which the third is something that I want to focus on. This is the banana clicker game. And what is a banana clicker game? Exactly what you think. It's a banana clicker. It peaked today again at 414,000 players playing it, and it's currently on its way to get another peak at 413. Now you might see it's a free to play, but consider this is a banana clicker game. It's not Dragon Age Veilguard, it's not anything as close to complicated, expensive to make as such a game. And we have to scroll down a little bit, actually not just a little bit. Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game that has been out for almost 24 hours, is on the 15th place by player count and by peak player count, which for a game that has been in development for nearly a decade, this is nothing short of a failure. Yes, during the weekend the numbers might go up a lot. That's true, I understand that. However, the experience of a new game, especially for a game that has been hyped, promoted, advertised and talked about for so much time and so actively, it would stand to logic that the player count would be much higher. And I mean, 70,000 people is not a small number by any form. The 70,000 people have played it at the same time, and if you do some basic relative math, you can guess that, let's say, 300,000 people bought it on the first day. At least. You can even go higher, 400,000. Doesn't matter. The player count concurrent in the first 24 hours is key, because usually in your mind, what would someone do when they buy such a new game that have been waiting for, that they did pre-orders for, or they just wanted to buy it as soon as it came out? You want to play it immediately. So if that's the logic, and I think that is a pretty solid logic for any new game, is that those 70,000 people are the majority of the people that bought it on the first day. So my estimate is like 150,000. Let's just put a number like this. The game is estimated to cost around 150 million. There is some discussion on Reddit and on some other forums that it's between 80 and 120 and 150. Some people are saying 200 million. My personal take is it's around 130 million. So if you do, again, basic math, at $60 per package, which 99.9% of people take, they don't go for the deluxe. Only a few people ever go to the deluxe versions of most games. You have to have at least 2 million people buying the game in order to reach those numbers of production costs. Then you have the marketing cost, which is at least another 500,000 to 1 million people just to cover that. And then you need another million people buying the game so you can go out and say this game was a success. And this is without counting any refunds. If you have refunds, let's say if you have 100,000 or 200 or 300,000 refunds, which I've already seen today some comments on Steam that they say that they have already issued refunds for the game after playing it for an hour or two. That means that it's going to go down, and you don't want that. So at the very least, you need 4 million people to buy the game, which means that we either need to see these numbers go up at least tenfold in the following days, or that they're not going to fall and the game will not sell as good. My guess is on the latter, because this game was highly anticipated by a lot of people, at least from what we have read on Twitter. So this number is actually pretty low. And it might be because of all the backlash that it received from a lot of YouTubers and the actual community of gamers that are feeling disappointed from all the clips that came out prior to releasing the game. And I'm talking about those famous clips that just highlight exactly how much DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion inserts there are in the game itself. And one of the famous clips is this one.
Nose. She's still holding the ruby.
I'm sure that you have already seen it.
Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
Her reaction, that Asian elf or whatever she was just so badly choreographed and so badly timed within the game itself that it's just amazing. Like it's like even they somehow knew that you have to do a very big stretch in your mind to realize that something wrong has happened, because her reaction was not immediate, as in if this was an insult or something like that, they would immediately catch on to that. But she took at least 2-3 seconds to react, which, yeah, she doesn't do that naturally. It's not a natural thing to be offended by this, what she's saying. And what she's saying is apparently, allegedly, she misgendered the Kunari over there.
Shit, they still holding it. Sorry.
And now what we are seeing is the famous scene.
Pulling a barb.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. A barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crews, not good for morale, but there's not always time for big, drawn-out apologies. So when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right.
Yeah, exactly. 10 push-ups, so because she did something wrong. And I just want you to think about the whole representation of what she just did. First of all, she misgendered one of her companions, which, first of all, why does it exist in a game? This is something that we can discuss for hours. Second of all, it's not just enough to apologize. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, you decided you're trans, and yes, indeed, the character that she misgendered decided in-game, and there's clips of that she's not going to be a she anymore, and is going to be they, and it's going to be non-binary, which, first of all, it's not something that actually should exist in a supposedly medieval times fantasy game and a fantasy setting. These things didn't exist until a few years ago at all. They were non-existent, they were made up. It's just, yeah, I made it up. Let's see how far it goes. And the expectation is that everyone should immediately adjust their brains to that new reality, which is bonkers on every level whatsoever. But it's not enough to just apologize. You need to sweat, as this character explains in the clip, that you have to sweat, you have to work for your apology. You have to be down on the ground, like licking the boots or the feet of someone else, just so you know that you messed up, and that your brain will tell you you don't want to do push-ups again and just be sweaty because you did a grievous crime. It's like going to prison. It's like capital punishment in the court of law, which is absolutely bonkers. And I'm showing you this clip because there's another thing that I want to get out of my system. Today I spent a lot of my time watching Heel vs Babyface stream from Dragon Age Veilguard, and what I felt from the game that I watched is that, first of all, graphically it does not hold up to almost any of the newer games. It's not as fleshed out as one would expect from a 2024 game. For comparison, Witcher 3 has much better graphics even before the latest updates. Second of all, the gameplay is, at least for the first several hours, almost non-existent. There's a lot of talking, a lot of cutscenes, a lot of walking, and a lot of situations where you don't really do anything. This might change, I don't know, but this is what I saw from the first few hours of the game. I know that I'm not someone who should talk about the gameplay, as I'm not playing the game myself and I'm not going to buy the game due to just not being able to at the moment. However, I think I am in my right to share my views from what I have seen. I also watched a bit of Veilguard's stream, who's also playing the game, and it was the same thing. It wasn't because the streamer in question just didn't play the game right or whatever. In both cases, it just didn't have a lot of gameplay, but it did have a lot of strange dialogues and strange just tell don't show situations. For instance, there's a lot of parts where I think Varric, who is from the previous games, telling your character, who's apparently called Rook, do you remember when you did that, or when you did that, or when you did that? And those are all situations that were never seen before in any of the Dragon Age games. So basically, you don't have anything to build up your character before in order to explain why you're being pushed into leadership decisions and into just taking charge on a lot of the quests that you go through, or just being as important as they're presenting you to be in the game. You're basically a character that supposedly has made a lot of epic stuff, but nothing has been shown. There is nothing to prove that aside from the words, and that's just hollow. It feels hollow. And this brings me to a clip that Asmongold uploaded today, which just blew me away, which made me realize something very, very strange about the whole game. And I'm just gonna play it.
Identity options.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Okay, so this is something that we have seen in images posted before the release of the game. This is the gender identity tab that you see, and that would make you a trans character in the game. We have seen that. However, there's something a little down the line that you just see.
Oh, and here we go. Take a long, hard look in it, kid. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. Establish. There's no option not to be. This one does, and this. I don't know why I have to be trans, guys.
Yeah,
I can't.
You have to be trans.
Guys, I don't know what to do.
It basically, the game pushes you to be this because it unlocks new dialogue options. It unlocks new situations, which, if you remember from Mass Effect, the trilogy, you did have the same mechanic. However, the unlocking of additional options was because you did something in game that progresses the story in a different way, which is far different from what we're seeing here.
Oh, forced transgender. This is what Donald Trump was talking about. I'm getting there. It feels good to see the real me.
And now here.
It took a while for me to figure out why the face staring back from the mirror felt wrong. But once I was able to be honest with myself, it was a relief to figure out I was trans.
You see this face? This is the same face that I made when I heard that. And this is why it's good to wait a little bit, because we have seen the menu, as I mentioned, but we haven't seen what the character says afterwards. And this is just modern language inserted to the core into this game. And that's just a horror. But it also made me realize something about this game, and I don't know if I'm going to be right, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right. Dragon Age Veilguard is not a game. It has game elements. You can play inside it. Yeah, you can play the characters and just progress the story as in the game. But this is a game shell which is filled with those DEI inserts and those nudges and pushes that drive you to do what Asmongold had to do, to use these things to, let's say, be honest with yourself and just be trans in the game so you can have all the options available. It basically promises you that everything will be better and everything will be more easier once you do this. You cannot be normal. And this is basically what the game is presenting itself to be. A propaganda piece which includes game elements. And this is something that costs hundreds of millions of dollars. And seeing this from a company such as BioWare just fills me with absolute dread, because this is a huge company and they have taken the road of Ubisoft. This is something that is going to be on their profile and it's going to be connected to them forever. And they're going to go down in history for the company that made such an expensive advertisement for trans and LGBTQ people. Instead of just focusing on giving you the best gaming experience for a game that every fan has waited for almost 10 years to receive, they just go on and fill your head and fill your experience with those kinds of stupid crap and stupid stuff that nobody wants to have. And that's why I'm sure that out of those 70,000 players, we're going to be seeing a rapid decline once they reached these moments in the game. And from what I've seen from watching the streams, the first clip that I showed you with the push-up is later in the game, so it's basically placed almost evenly, allegedly, throughout the experience, so you can constantly have something nudging you in that direction. What Asmongold went through is basically almost in the beginning of the game, so they don't waste any time doing that and just forcing you to become something that you don't like and forcing you to do something that you wouldn't actually do and shouldn't be in the game at all, because it takes away from the gaming experience, and nobody wants to buy a game and don't have a good gaming experience. And when they don't do that, and especially for those more hardcore gamers or for all the fans of Dragon Age, they're just going to do what every gamer has the right to do and issue refunds and just take their money back before it's too late. As for people like me, I'm going to continue to watch the situation and update, because while I don't have the necessary possibility of buying the game, I am interested to see what happens. If something comes up and I have the option to buy the game in the following few days, I probably will, and I probably will stream it, because it is something to be experienced in the very least, and I will be able to form a better opinion about it to see if the gameplay is actually that bad, or if there's some things that are worth checking out throughout the game. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. It is a longer video, but there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and I actually didn't get to talk about some of the stuff, but I'm going to save those comments for another video where I have more information on them. Thank you for watching so far. If you did, if you enjoyed what you just saw, press the like button, press the subscribe button if you want to see more of my videos. If you want to support me directly, press the join button and become a DiscussThing enthusiast. It'll be very appreciated to have you on the team. And if you want to support my goal of helping homeless animals and animals in shelters, just go to my Patreon page and become a member there. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. I will be uploading also a membership video later on where I showcase you what we do with the Patreon money. And until then, I have been Hazel. This was DiscussThing, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers and stay fresh.